Alrighty, what's going on everybody? Ninja Star here, and today we are back at it again with a Dragon Ball video. Now today's Dragon Ball video is going to be talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ. Since FighterZ got announced not too long ago, I think like a few weeks ago or something like that, people have been like really excited for this game, but I haven't really spoken about it personally. I've gone into a little bit like tweet threads and whatnot, talking about why I think it's going to be so great and whatnot, but I haven't really made it like an actual video about my thoughts on Dragon Ball FighterZ and stuff, and I don't think there's really any point of it because you guys probably already have an idea what I think of it. But today's topic for a video is going to be talking about something I think interesting, not many people are going to be thinking of. Maybe this will get everyone thinking in the comment section down below, but I decided, you know what, this wouldn't be as fun if I did it alone. So today I brought a very special guest, a great friend of mine. Please welcome Cosmic Flare. Say what's up, dude.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Cosmic here. Thank you for having me in this video, man. I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, dude. So the first point that I want to bring up, because I'm sure we both have plenty of good points that we can bring up talking about this topic, and the topic here is going to be why Dragon Ball FighterZ deserves all the success. Now, Dragon Ball FighterZ in recent years, or not talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ, but let's look at the previous Dragon Ball games in general. The most popular Dragon Ball games we've ever gotten have been Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 and 2, and Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but...
No, you're correct. Yeah, no, those ones sold the most, and honestly, although people kind of... Especially with Xenoverse, people kind of tend to give it bad reviews. It's still one of the most popular ones. Like, it gets a lot more talk than Burst Limit does and Infinite World. So, yeah, no, you're correct. Those are definitely the top three when it comes to people just knowing a Dragon Ball game off the top of their head, man.
Yeah, right. And let's look at what they have in common. They all have the 3D aspect to them. 3D Dragon Ball games have kind of been the recent pattern in years, basically. Like, we got, Raging Blast 1 and 2, Ultimate Tenkaichi, Battle of Z. I think the last, like, major 3D Dragon Ball game we got was, like, Burst Limit, and sure, we got Extreme Butoden on the 3DS, and that was cool. It was also developed by Arc System Works, but they didn't have that much involvement with the game, just working on the graphics and whatnot, and the sprites look really nice in that game alone. But that also, Extreme Butoden, that wasn't as popularly received, probably because it was on the 3DS and wasn't as unique as, like Xenoverse was and stuff, kind of got overshadowed by that type of things. So, Extreme Butoden didn't get that much attention. That was kind of the newest 2D fighter game we've got. Now, sure, there's also, like, Hyper Dragon Ball Z and stuff, and Hyper Dragon Ball Z, as cool as it is, it's a fan-made game, and, Bandai didn't officially make it or whatever. But with FighterZ, it's going to be, like, the next big 2D thing, and I think this is going to show a lot like Bandai Namco, Dimps, everyone else, that we Dragon Ball fans, we're still open to 2D games. Like I said, the last Dragon Ball major 2D game we got was Burst Limit on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and we enjoyed it. Now, sure, it didn't sell very well for various reasons, but, it was still kind of popularly received. And in recent years, people have also, newer Dragon Ball fans are finding out about the game, and they're still, like, really enjoying it to this day. And it can show them that, like I said, we're still open to the idea of 2D Dragon Ball games, and maybe we could get some more 2D Dragon Ball games in the future. What are your thoughts, Cosmic? I've rambled long enough.
No, you're okay, man. No, you're okay. No, I agree. Like, I've noticed when it comes to the Dragon Ball franchise, especially with Bandai Namco and Dimps and those who've been involved in the games that are like 2D or 2.5D fighters, those ones don't necessarily sell the best, but when it comes to enjoyment, people are just really getting out of it. Like, the mechanics always seem to be fluid. There's no real complaint that people have. If anything, people kind of just want more out of it. So when it comes to fighters, actually no, in the past few years, we got Xenoverse 1, Xenoverse 2, then previously we had Budokai Tenkaichi 3. So it's like the 3D games are the ones that people really love the most, because those things really focus on just, besides them being 3D, they have great rosters, they just have great appearance overall. So it's like, those games are it's really appealing to the fans. It's something that they always have wanted, and then whenever they get games like that, they're like, oh, sweet, we finally got it. But then when they actually play the game, they have oh, no, we're not too crazy about it, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But then when we go ahead and got FighterZ, now it's like they see that same quality brought out along with the variation. Because last time we got a 2.5D fighter was Burst Limit, and that released back in 2008. So it's been about I think it's about 9 years.
Yeah,
it's about 9 years since that's released. So literally, it's like they've had pretty much all this time to kind of work up to the hype for it. So it's like people haven't really been talking about getting a 2D or 2.5D fighter, but now it's the fact that we've gotten it. It feels brand new because it's been just so long. So with the hype that's going along from going from 3D for the past 2 years from Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2, it's like they're going back to their roots in a sense. So for them, it's like, oh, the nostalgia is going to be brought back, and now we have great appearance. Like, we see all over Twitter, people are making references of how, like, every animation looks similar to the manga, or just the references overall. It's like, all games are meant to look like the show when it comes to anime, but especially with this one, in Dragon Ball FighterZ, the way it's brought out and so precise, like, it's something that fans are going insane for. Like, we have not seen something really this clean, this crisp, and honestly this enjoyable looking overall in such a long time that fans are going to go insane for it. So this is literally, it's like they've set up the points to make this so amazing that literally no matter what, even if like the first week sales don't go as high as Xenoverse, even if, you know, people are not as crazy about it because, you know, they haven't played a 2D fighter or 2.5D fighter in about 9 years, unless you play Hyper DBZ or just anything of that nature, so it'd be harder to adjust. Just anything within those lines, no matter what, it's like it's guaranteed for genuine success, which is fantastic. The way Bandai has it set up, especially connecting with Arc Systems once again, man, it's like they have really planned this out, and the way they were so subtle with it, and the way they built up to it without really even realizing it, and the innuendos hidden within the messages they left for us over the past like few years for this, it's fantastic, man. The props to Bandai. This is literally on the road to success.
Right, and just applying to some of the earlier statements you said about, you know, the recreating the anime thing, a lot of people, the reason people weren't too keen on, let's say, you know, 2D fighters slash 2.5D in recent years and stuff was because of the fact that, you know, one reason why people love Budokai Tenkaichi 3 so much was the fact that because of how many characters you had, you could literally recreate like any fight from the original Dragon Ball. Like, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 still has, like, well, not the highest roster, because I think Fusions has the highest one, but Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had so many characters, so many things you could recreate that fans loved it so much for that, and you could kind of see it as, like, an emulator type game, which is why, like I said, it's so beloved by fans. But then again, people weren't too big on 2D slash 2.5D because you couldn't recreate those iconic moments. But here, like you said, we've seen like on Twitter and stuff that these Twitter accounts are posting stuff like from the original Dragon Ball Z, like iconic moments, resemblance to like Dragon Ball FighterZ movements and stuff, like Vegeta's Final Flash that they showed in like a gameplay demo reel. Like, that's so similar to how it was done in the show, and it shows you could still recreate this type of stuff. So, yeah, Dragon Ball FighterZ could really succeed in that aspect, and I think a lot of fans are going to be happy about that in general, and yeah, that's all I had to say. But basically, the next point that I think a lot of us are going to be interested about to see like why this game deserves so much success is it's going to have an impact on future anime games if it is successful. Now, anime games in recent years, like I said, haven't really focused too much on 2D. Now, let's take a look at One Piece Burning Blood. One Piece Burning Blood, in my opinion, is actually the most balanced. There's no such thing as a 100% balanced fighting game, but I think One Piece Burning Blood is still kind of balanced in compared to, like, you know, like Storm 4 and Xenoverse 2 and whatever. But, you know, Burning Blood, that's still a 3D fighter. Look at it one way or another. And same with Naruto, Storm 4, and Road to Boruto and stuff like that. And even Shinobi Strikers, you know, it's more so like an open type game, but still, it's 3D. And we haven't really gotten like any 2D anime fighters or anything like that in a while, and they're not as common as you think nowadays. And I think if Dragon Ball FighterZ can really set the bar for how this thing can go, it could really impact. Like, imagine like a One Piece FighterZ and stuff. That would be so dope to see. I think you would love it. I would love it. A bunch of other fans would love it. Same with like a Naruto 2D style fighting game. Like, oh my gosh. Like, sure, we got a One Piece like style fighting game, like 2D. Earlier, I think they're coming out with a US release, I believe, soon. It's called One Piece Pirate Coliseum on the 3DS. It was developed by the same people who made Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden, but, you know, obviously with One Piece characters. And it would be interesting if they have the same treatment as they did with FighterZ and a bunch of other anime games and whatnot. It could be really interesting to see how this goes. And, you know, anime games in general, to be fairly honest, they haven't really been taken that seriously by a bunch of other huge, like, fighting game fans and whatever. They're fighting game fans who aren't even into Dragon Ball that are taking this game seriously because it could really be something big. And imagine how this could impact later anime games in the future and stuff. It could really change the industry as a whole. What do you think, Cosmic?
No, I agree. Like, when it comes to other anime games, like, I know one game, I'm not sure this has been done for others, but I remember with Naruto, back on the PSP, they kind of had pretty much a 2D fighter, the Rising of a Ninja series. I think one,
Oh,
1
yeah,
through 3. I played 2 and 3. I remember those, but those were like 2D fighters. Although they weren't like Storm or whatever. Honestly, those were the most enjoyable for me because the characters were unique. There are ways you could customize them. Like, the customization is one thing that all fans really want when it comes to any game in general. So with that game, you could change the costumes, you could give them different strengths, and, you know, give them more equips and whatnot, and I find that to be a nice feature. That's why people still, for like 3D games like Xenoverse or whatnot, they want those things incorporated as well. So when it's brought out in 2D fighters, games like that, you can see that they have fluid mechanics, character uniqueness, and then to top it all off, you're getting like, as long as customization along with, you know, being able to equip new abilities. So it's like, you're literally getting everything you want brought out in just one thing. So other anime games, I think what FighterZ is going to do is kind of set the bar and make them realize that other games can go back to their ways as well. Because I remember with the Rising of a Ninja series, that series for the games, they sold relatively well. I'm not sure if they were too high in numbers, but there definitely were enough to go ahead and make 3 parts of it. And then after that, later on, of course, they made other games for the PSP as well. But those, of course, began to develop over time into 3D games because that was just, you know, how times were going at that time period. But still, the fact that the 2D games were selling that well, it's definitely not something you want to simply hold back on. So with other anime games, it could definitely incorporate that as well. Like, I know there's this one series I just started watching, the 7 Deadly Sins. They have not been going on that long, but look at them already. They're automatically getting a game, and they're gonna be, and that's an anime series. And then there's other series out right now that are up and rising. So it's like, for the 7 Deadly Sins with only 1 season, the fact that it's already got so much hype for a video game, think about other series that could get it, like My Hero Academia. That only is going on 2 seasons, and that's got more hype than anything at the moment. It's one of the top rising shonen series we've seen thus far, so it's like, who wouldn't want to see that, especially with the fighting styles of each character, a 2D or 2.5D game for that? That would be fantastic, just seeing it incorporated. Or even seeing a popular series like Naruto. Like, we know we're getting Shinobi Strikers, but there's definitely nothing wrong with them going ahead and making a separate project on the side to build up a 2 or 2.5D fighter in the game. I mean, there's other devices that people kind of use that aren't really talked about, like the PS Vita that could definitely develop it, or it could be ported over to a PS4 or just anything of that nature. But it's literally, FighterZ is setting the bar and the precedent that lets people know that you don't need to have just simply great graphics and simply just overall looking a wonderful game as opposed, you know, as a way to, you know, kind of increase your sales. Because when you think of 3D, the whole point of it is it looks appealing to the fans to make their sales. No matter what game you sell, you always want it to make money, but 3D is always the one that people tend to go to. So if FighterZ sells relatively well, which at this point it's pretty much guaranteed to sell well based on the reviews it's gotten thus far just off the demo, I believe it just won an award from the E3 event for being, I think one of the most enjoyable games, or the favorite one that everyone played there, and that's just based off a demo that's quote-unquote 20% done. So the bar has already been set so high for it. So if we're going to see that, imagine what it could do for other games. Imagine if we were to go ahead and just see all these other animes develop these aspects and adapt them and apply them into their own. It would be so great to see that, because then we would be able to get some variation. It's like, it would literally bring all fans like me who are kind of relatively older, along with new fans. It'll bring out the nostalgia in the older fans, because they'll be like, oh, I used to play a game similar to this when I was younger, along with bringing in the new generation and saying, wow, this game is so nice. It's not 3D, but the mechanics are so great and it's so competitive that it makes me want to get good at it. It's going to really draw in genuine effort. And then after that, it's going to increase the revenue based on the anime series, like, whatsoever. Like, I know I have a couple friends, I remember when they used to play Ultimate Rise of a Ninja on the PSP with me. They hadn't even seen Naruto, but the game was just so enjoyable because of the aspects that it had on it. They were like, okay, I want to go ahead and get in the show. And of course, they enjoyed it because Naruto is a great series. So that alone, it just increases everything. It takes the whole franchise and gives it a boost, along with making a game that people have no reason to genuinely complain about. Like, we saw other games in the past, like Burst Limit, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and, you know, all those other games. People enjoyed them, and they had complaints, but the thing is, those complaints were really so minor and overshadowed because the game was so enjoyable to fans that no one really had anything to say. So if we were to saw other animes adapt them, like, say, like My Hero Academia, or, you know, 7 Deadly Sins, or just things of that nature, if they were to start out with a 2 or 2.5D game, imagine that. Just from the jump, you could say your first game was not only successful, but you had primarily no complaints. So you're literally starting off with a way to make a sequel to a game you haven't even developed yet. So you're just gonna set yourself at a way that you can literally boost your franchise, you can get yourself a good reputation, and this is all just based off the hope that we have so far for Dragon Ball FighterZ. So This, again, literally, this is the road to success.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything, like, on the road to success thing, and about what you said earlier about, like, the new generation, like, playing the same game as, you know, the older generation and stuff, because there are plenty of people who, like, hate this new era of Dragon Ball games because they liked it a lot better in the Budokai era, the Burst Limit era, even, like, some of the, a little bit of the Tenkaichi stuff. Like, I can definitely understand where they're coming from and stuff. Like, think about it, the new generation of, like, the 2010s and stuff, we haven't really gotten, like, a major 2D fighter or 2.5D or anything like that since, like, Burst Limit. That came out in 2008, so, you know, it goes to show that a lot of these newer generation fans haven't really had that same experience as the Budokai fans did with, like, 2D fighters or 2.5D or anything like that. And this new Dragon Ball FighterZ game, people who haven't played a single Dragon Ball game since, like, Burst Limit are now getting back into the Dragon Ball gaming franchise because now they're interested in 2D and 2.5D, and it's developed by a company that's really reliable, is serious about their games, and takes in a competitive aspect. And a lot of these Dragon Ball fans are excited about it, and so are we as well, you know? It's going to be really exciting and overall and stuff. Like, the new generation's going to be playing the same game as, you know, the old generation, or Dragon Ball fans unite in a way. So, Cosmic, I think I've talked about, like, you know, my topics I'll bring up first, but I think you should introduce the next topic here. And guys, I'm actually going to stop the video right here due to the fact that this is only part 1 of the discussion that me and Cosmic had on this topic. Part 2 will be on his channel. I'll have a link to it in the description below when it uploads. I think I'm going to probably upload this one before he does his, but, like, you know, make sure you subscribe to Cosmic so when he does upload it, you'll immediately get a notification for it and whatnot. And yeah, like I said, you know, I want to thank my very special guest, Cosmic Flare. I know I address all of this in, you know, his side, part 2, over on his channel, which when it does upload, I'll have a link to it in the description below, so you all can watch it when it comes out. And yeah, I didn't really say here because, you know, it's part 1 or whatever, but I want to thank my very special guest, Cosmic Flare, for being on my channel here, and I'm going to be on his channel next in part 2 and stuff. So make sure you guys stay tuned to that, and thank you all so much for watching. And Ninja, peace everybody.